Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is Jonas Reports for the 12th of August. And, well, interesting day. The other day we broke up into, exceedingly new highs, only to have that begin to sell off all the way back down. You can see we're still under full positive extremes from the original breakout, which as soon as we get a signaling from our MBI and DOC readings, we know exactly where we'll be returning to fill that. It was an interesting case where this belief that the Fed will ease still is persistent, despite exactly what the Fed says. And the question then becomes, are you going to believe the Fed, or are you just going to think that they're selling something that isn't happening? But, the White House is touting zero inflation for July, which just from an oil reduction is fine, but it doesn't count a lot of the other items that people actually pay for. Needless to say, that isn't going to change the course of the Fed, because year over year, the inflation rate is far beyond the Fed's target. So I think it's easy for us, because all we have to do is look at the bond market when that time comes. From a euro, they were trying to break out on the news that, the belief that the Fed will ease. They're also having their increase in oil flows because of the lightening of sanctions. But again, it's going to be a tough road for the euro as well, because at the end of the day, they're already in a recession and have been, and it's likely to get worse as the fall comes. So that they've been able to hold it above parity is impressive, but prospects don't seem great. And from a gold standpoint, though, we're resting right here with soft readings, but at the end of the day, gold is got nowhere to go but up in that case, because it's going to have to counter the inflation that is being built in. It's still there, hasn't changed. Oil moving back up into the mid 94 range here. And again, if that starts to creep up back towards the 99, the whole concept of that zero inflation is going to fade away for August completely. So we'll see how it plays out. But here's the bond market from that standpoint, 20-year Treasury and TLT from the ETF standpoint. And just as I talked about, this is like well within expectations. It actually took a little longer than expected because there was so much inflows. But rates have to rise, and the bond market is saying that they believe the Fed, that they're going counter to what the market believes, and we would expect this decline to continue, which means effective rates higher, which is going to draw money from the market. Now, of course, it's rich with buyback money in that now, but at a certain point that begins to fade, and they hope that they can convince enough retail to get into the situation. Similar things happened here with Bitcoin. We saw the positive extremes, so we knew the retrace values, and sure enough, they get the pop, and then the ease back, which is exactly mimicking what happened intraday for the market. From an ETH standpoint, I should actually show you to the daily. For those that get real excited, you always hear these comments about how, crypto is breaking out into everything. Well, this gives you an idea, just in the near term, from the beginning of the year, where things are. Really, no, nothing's happened. From an ETH standpoint, again, I love the action with this, so clean within the algo readings. So, and with the number of products and things that are being derivatives of Ethereum, and that I think that you can see that it certainly has great potential there. From a 50K standpoint, the sell came in early, right about there, just in between 76 and 100%. Held on for a while and then began the cave all the way down to the 61 was where it began its turnaround. And you can see that right here, when the magenta got above, you had also blue above gray. It's a tough one because you still had white leading, but by the next bar it converted and literally would have had a defensive stop for profit taking at that particular stage. From an intraday standpoint, it was also very clean. We continued that rally. A little bit of softness. That was the precursor right here, letting you know that, okay, there's potential weakness, but it rebounded, made new highs, and then started putting in the series of sell signals, and we had significant decay within the DOC readings. This is also an interesting one, too. Right here, you might wonder, why is it right there, then the bar turns red immediately, and that's because the cyan moves above the green, even though it's still sub-red. From a DOC standpoint, which we say is always a buy, which is true, except for, and always the exceptions, always. Nothing is ever 100% true. But definitely from a propensity standpoint, a high probability, but this is an indication where you've had a peak move of DSC red and you're on the decline. And so the carry through on that typically would take place until the steel reaches the 13.5, and then you would get some bullish move, which is in fact exactly what happened. And then it's this particular section right here that becomes really significant. Are they able to carry it through, or like in this case, the spider effect that takes place along with the declining red, and then you have your beginnings of what turned out to be the more significant move, all the way back to, guess what, the same algo level, but then the selling was strong and continued right through it, but then pushed right back to it. So once they get below that algo level, if they're not able to breach the one that was a little bit further down, then it becomes pushed back towards this one. And then as soon as they were able to support on it, they just pulled it right back up to that same breach area. And again, there's that sign under red, so easy call, nothing really to think about with that. You just jump on it and say thank you, please pay me. Likewise with the short here, as long as that white remained over there, then the red took the lead. Yes, you expected the red to be some move, but there was nothing over the 23%, so not a whole lot to do from that standpoint. And that, I think, makes it helpful and easy to go ahead and follow it within those configurations. As always, though, I will continue to update you on the Skype chat. Try and stay cool. The dog days of summer are here. Trade well, and look for me on the Skype chat.